Broadcasting from Studio 202 at the Springett Technology Center in Navasota, Texas, it's NOV Live. Now, let's start the show.
Oh, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to NOV Live. This is the show where we talk to experts and interview them about technology that we are super excited about. Today, I'm your host, Shelby Dumaine, and I cannot wait to show you the amazing expert, the amazing technology, all of the stuff we have to show you today. But before I get into that, before I get ahead of myself, I want to bring on our social desk today is Danielle Francis. She's going to tell you how, if you're watching this live, how you can get involved in the show.
Hi, Shelby. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you.
Thanks. I wanted to talk to our audience members right now. If you're watching us live on Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube, right now, I would love for you to go to our comment section and let us know where you're watching us from. We love to see where our audience members are. Also, during the show, it's a great time for you to engage with us because if you have any questions during the show, feel free to ask them in our comment section because we'll have a live Q&A after the show and take some of those questions that you've asked and ask our guest of the day. So if you are watching the show after the live broadcast, either this episode or any other episodes, and you have questions, feel free to email them us at socialmedia@nov.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But during the show, feel free to ask any questions you like, and we'll have our guests answer some of them at the live Q&A after the show. So I will go to Shelby, and so we can get this party started.
All right, I'm so excited. Yeah, I love seeing where everyone's watching from. So like you said, if you are watching, comment that. I always like to see, I can usually count on Houston, but a lot of times Brazil, and we see some folks in the Middle East. So I love seeing where all of our viewers are tuning in from. So thank you for that, Danielle. And back to our guest. So I'm so excited to announce today the expert we have on. We're talking about iNOVaTHERM portable treatment unit. And so our expert today is Gordon Duthie. He's the Senior Director of Sales for the Eastern Hemisphere. Welcome, Gordon. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you, Shelby. Thanks for the opportunity to come on today.
Absolutely. And am I right in saying you're tuning in from or joining us from Aberdeen? Is that right?
Yeah, Aberdeen, Scotland, yes.
Oh, that's amazing. If anyone's watched the show, they know I have an extensive list I'm building of all of the places that I want to travel to that where NOV's at, and Aberdeen's right up there at the top. That's one of the ones that's for sure on my kind of want to travel list. So that's really excellent. Well, thank you for joining. I kind of want to start off. So I'll be honest with our viewers, I'm in marketing here at NOV, y'all know that. So a lot of products I hear about, I get to learn from here on the show. We talk to experts a lot, but I still feel like I'm learning new products new technologies that NOV has every week, every day. And this was no different from that, iNOVaTHERM. So I kind of tried to do some research before so that I could know a little something before having you on. And I'm already so excited. It was so interesting. So can you, just to kick us off, can you tell us what iNOVaTHERM is? What does the technology do? Help me and also our audience out on that.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, iNOVaTHERM for us is a technology that we're very excited about for many reasons. Its introduction to the market has came really at exactly the right time for the energy industry as we really turn our focus towards sustainability. Really, at the start of 2021, following a really significant onshore testing, this technology was then successfully deployed in the UK sector of the North Sea. And in the coming months, we're going to be actively operational on 3 offshore installations. Although this is new technology and it's already field proven and very much ready for the market. Environmental, social and governance, or simply ESG, is of the highest importance to NOV. And we believe in reducing the environmental footprint of NOV, as well as supporting our customers' efforts to reduce their environmental footprint through basically providing innovative products, process improvements and technology advancements. So iNOVaTHERM is ultimately a portable thermal treatment unit that effectively treats drilling waste generated on the rig site. Its novel design allows for higher processing throughput rates on a reduced footprint without affecting performance. So in turn, our clients' drilling expectations can be met without any sort of compromise. The non-friction-based heat exchanger technology also ensures the waste streams are efficiently treated to the highest levels possible, meeting the tightest discharge legislation in any country we operate. As a Novitherm is portable, it can be mobilised on locations both onshore and offshore. Going back over the years, NOV WellSite Services have a long, successful history of providing thermal treatment services across the world, where we have responsibly and ethically handled and treated our clients' drilling waste to the highest possible standard. We're very excited to build on this with the introduction of this new technology. For all the right reasons, our industry is changing, and the focus on improved environmental performance and carbon footprint reductions is something NOV as a company remain 100% focused on, and the NOVitherm technology certainly ticks all these boxes.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned about how it can have an environmental benefit impact. Can you explain how being able to actually treat that waste on site, on location, versus having to ship it off, how is it that kind of translates to reducing carbon footprint, kind of helping the environment as a whole?
Yeah, that's a good question. Treating the waste on the rig location eliminates many other links that comes with the more conventional drill and waste handling processes that we've seen in the past. So when shipping drilling waste to shore or a remote thermal plant location, the waste needs to be transported in waste containers or cuttings bins. Treatment at source ultimately eliminates this requirement. So when moving a waste container from its supply base out to the rig location and basically returning it back to the thermal treatment facility onshore for treatment and disposal, the container needs to be moved on average 12 to 14 times. So we've basically recently demonstrated on a UK project in the North Sea, we saved the client over 3,600 crane lifts and forklift movements alone. Wow. This is not only an environmental saving, it also greatly reduces any HSE risks associated with cargo movements and load handling. As there's no container movements, we also eliminated over 80 truckloads, more on the onshore movement of the skips to the quayside or the vessel, as well as 6 offshore supply vessel trips from the quayside to the rig location and back. From an offshore perspective, treatment at source eliminates the need for onshore treatment and disposal of the drill cuttings into a certified landfill site. So the clean cuttings and produced water are discharged to the sea, and the expensive base oil is recovered and recycled back to the active mud systems. So from an ESG perspective, this alone is a significant impact and improvement on the environmental performance and also carbon reduction initiatives any operator would be more than happy to report.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, so obviously the ESG, what we can do to help the environment, to reduce our carbon footprint, all of that is so important. But I know to a lot of people, there's also other factors operationally to consider. So I'm curious, are there any benefits? Is the environment the main or only one? Are there any other benefits to having the NOVitherm on site?
Yeah, there's obviously the significant environmental drivers for this type of technology, but there's also very much operational drivers from a NOVitherm perspective will provide many benefits as well as significant cost savings to the client. The conventional waste handling operations are reliant upon the supply vessel to be alongside during the transfer of the waste to and from the rig, and this is done either through the waste containers or even bulk transfer hoses. During the more inclement weather conditions, when they're looking to be drilling, it can be very challenging, and when the high winds come into factor, this can actually force the cranes to go down for safety reasons. So should the supply vessel be unable to maintain station at the rig site, the drilling operations may have to very much slow down or even be suspended. Waiting on weather suddenly becomes very, very expensive when you start to take into account the rig day rate as well as other equipment spread and services being provided, and it quickly turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars per day. Wow. Another point to really consider is the physical location of the drilling rig, where the sailing times to and from the supply base is long. Any logistical delays in receiving empty waste containers will again potentially delay or even stop the operation. Right. The waste to be treated in the rig is not just restricted to drill cuttings. As a NOVitherm is a non-friction based technology, it also safely and effectively can treat slop waters and sludges on location as well. So basically not shipping these slops to shore has also eliminated the need for further treatment and disposal costs, as well as the time-consuming, expensive vessel tank cleaning operations at the end of the contract. The ability to recover the base oil from the drill cuttings for the reuse on location not only meets our clients' ESG reduction targets, but it also returns dollars back onto the bottom line. The reuse of this oil then in turn reduces the levels of inventory the clients need to hold and be shipped out to and stored on the rig for the mud services. With the ability to treat high volumes of drilling waste quickly with less personnel on board is also a significant saving. We know from the UK offshore operations, bed space is always at a premium, and we've really listened to our customers here, and we're now in a position to offer a very effective solution to ensure HSE and operational performance is not compromised in any sort of way. The NOVitherm solution brings our clients the peace of mind that the drilling operations can ultimately continue safely, regardless of the operating conditions or even rig location.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's. I mean, I already, of course, know there's so many moving parts on any rig site, like you said, onshore, offshore. So I think from what I'm, seeing everything I've been, that's kind of what I've gathered is this is almost like one less moving piece to have to coordinate and spend cost on. And so that's really excellent that you can kind of localize that to the rig site. And like I mentioned, so I have done a little bit of research that I tried to do my armchair research trying to, leading up to the show to prepare. And you had mentioned that this is in the field, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's in the North Sea. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Can you talk at all about what we've seen, like any performance results that we've seen in the field so far?
Yeah, no, for sure. The results from the ongoing operations have been excellent, and we continue to go from strength to strength. The reliable performance we've experienced is simply down to the design of the heat exchanger and its ability to treat wastes at higher throughput volumes, given consistent separation results each time.
And is that the heat exchange? Sorry to interrupt. Is that the heat exchange right there that we're seeing?
No, you're looking at that's the condensation module.
Oh, okay.
That's where the waste oil and water would be treated for before discharge.
Gotcha. Excuse me.
Yeah. As previously mentioned, the technology, it's non-friction based, so it utilizes electrical heating elements to maintain a constant process temperature required throughout the operation. Once these set points have been reached, basically the PLC control system takes over, ensuring the smooth operational running of the system is basically achieved always. Mm-hmm. From startup, from an ambient temperature to process ready for running takes no more than 15 minutes. Again, this gives significant operational time savings, as well as taking away wasted power usage, spending hours to heat up the heat exchanger. NOVitherm, and we've demonstrated in the field that this can process up to 10 metric tons an hour. And we're finding from the top hole sections, this generally meets our clients' expectations on the drilling ROPs, or the rates of penetration to be drilled. The results from the recent running of a NOVitherm, we have seen with the process drill cuttings are on average at 0.1% oil and cuttings, which is obviously well below the discharge level set for the UK North Sea sector at 1% oil and cuttings. Similar results have also been seen with the produced water, with average discharges around about 15 ppm or parts per million. This again is well below the North Sea limit of 30 ppm. A good point to note here is that if our clients are looking for this level to be lowered even further, we have the equipment and technology that can easily get the water down to lower levels to meet our clients' expectations. As well as the ability to discharge the solids and water safely, NOVitherm recovers a high quality base oil for reuse back to the active mud system, as I previously mentioned. And this is ultimately a significant saving to our clients. And in one of the North Sea operations last year, we delivered back over $350,000 worth of base oil for reuse back onto the operation. What we've also seen while running the technology over the last year is there's also minimal wear on the internals of the technology. So considering cuttings are very abrasive, this demonstrates how robust the equipment is, and it has ensured no unnecessary shutdowns have been required for unplanned maintenance. And this is quite a significant factor for keeping a good uptime on the operation.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we've seen any kind of stuff stopping operations lately. I think we're all familiar with that, all of our mail coming in late. So I think anyone can relate to how important it is to keep things going. Yeah. And I did want to ask real quick, can you tell us what we were seeing in that last picture with the two side by side? I think it's very compelling to look at. Can you explain to me what we're seeing?
What we have is basically the recovered oil on the left-hand side. So it's like an orangey brown color. And that's fairly common from the process because there's a bit of oxidization during the condensation section. And on the right-hand side, that is basically unused base oil, which would be the fundamental part. So what you're seeing on the right is clean oil that's never been mixed in mud. And on the left-hand side there, you're seeing the recovered oil after the thermal process.
Wow. Very, very cool to look at. I saw that picture and I was like, I want to know what that is. Part of me was like, oh, that one looks like water. You could just drink it. But I'm thinking no.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that. So I know better now that you've been able to tell me what that is. I wouldn't do that. So we've talked, I'm forever an optimist. I love to hear all the benefits, and that's kind of where my brain lives. But I also know that there is a flip side to that coin. Has there been any limitations that we've seen from it being in the field so far?
I think over the last year, we've sort of proven the equipment itself is robust, reliable, sort of field proven. So from that perspective, we don't have any real concerns. But what we have learned is the system is capable of handling high volumes of cuttings over longer periods of time. So where the limitations we see coming in is where our clients are looking to drill faster, especially in the larger top hole sections. And this is where they're looking, they would generate in excess of maybe 10 metric tons per hour. To basically overcome this limitation, we've designed and developed a dry bulk tank system to store the excess cuttings that's basically been generated. So if we're at a position where we're processing 10 tons an hour, but the rig's generating, let's say, 12 or 13, there's excess material that has to be stored. So providing this buffer storage really allows the drilling operations to continue without any real restrictions to the drilling ROPs. Whatever is basically stored in the bulk tanks can then be processed whenever the ROPs drop off or when the drilling section has been completed. Because there's always time, once the drilling stops, they have to pull out of hole, then they have to do a casing run. So between one section and another, we've probably got another 3 or 4 days at least to clear all the tanks and be ready for the next section. So that's certainly helped our client in North Sea. From an environmental perspective, the bulk tanks were designed to take drill cuttings directly from the shakers without the need for adding any base oil or expensive mud. So a mechanical feed process was designed to then transfer the cuttings back to the NOVitherm system. This design not only saves our clients money by not using the drilling mud or slurry to suspend the cuttings, it minimizes the total volumes of waste that needs to be treated during the well as well. This waste minimization philosophy really ensures we continue to improve our clients' environmental performance with the goal of making the carbon footprint really as low as possible.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I think hearing that, it's always good to ask kind of, are there any limitations? Do we need to be careful? But hearing that, it sounds like y'all have done the prep necessary. Y'all have been able to see out in the field how this performs and can kind of prepare for those cases.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for enlightening me on a lot of this. Like I said, I tried to read, but even me, I don't come from, an education background of oil and gas and energy. So sometimes hearing it actually from the real people who know what they're talking about really can help process that information. And I don't want to be selfish, though, because I know I'm asking all my questions, but we do have some audience questions. So I want to kick it over to Danielle. What you got for us?
Yes.
What you got for Gordon?
Okay. I got a few questions for Gordon. The first question is, does NOVitherm process all drilling-related waste generated on a rig?
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a good question. The NOVitherm technology is basically designed to treat drill cuttings, sludges, and slops, all based on varying levels of solids, oil, and water content. As with any thermal process, we really need to avoid processing materials such as green cement, which is unset cement, swarf, or even high levels of organic lost circulation material, or LCM. Very low concentrations of these materials are not really an issue, but really when we know there's going to be a higher volume of this type of waste coming over the shakers, we would really recommend this is diverted to waste containers for treatment off-site.
Man, drill cutting sledges and slops kind of sounds like if NOV was ever to do like an MTV show. That I feel like that would be the title. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I heard that, I was like, oh, that has a fun ring to it. But all right, what else, Danielle?
Oh, gosh, Shelby, you're so funny. Okay, I have another question for you, Gordon. How reliable is a NOVitherm during operations? Are the results on process cuttings and water discharge consistent? Or discharges consistent?
Yeah. Okay. Now, I think based on what we've experienced over the last year, the reliability and performance during operations has been really excellent, as I previously sort of said, but I'm simply putting that down to the design of the heat exchanger, with the electrical heating elements providing a constant temperature all the way throughout the operation. The testing on the recovered water and solids has been very consistent. Again, this is down just to the stability and reliability of the heat exchanger part of the process.
Excellent. What else? What else we got, Danielle? I think I saw you had one more. You were holding up.
Actually, I do have one more. I could ask one more question to Gordon. So, recovery and reuse of oil base gives significant savings back to the operator. How is the quality of the recovered base oil from iNOVaTHERM, and has any laboratory testings been completed on this?
Yeah. Okay, now that's another good question. That's quite a big thing, because as I mentioned earlier in the interview, delivering the oil back to the operators is a significant cost saving, returning dollars basically back to the bottom line. We have carried out third-party testing, independent testing, and the results have shown that the oil maintains its properties, molecular structure, and has the same GC fingerprinting as the unused base oil. The only change, as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, was the note, or the change of slight brown colouring to the oil. But this is perfectly normal for any thermal process. We've done the third-party independent testing, as I said, and we're more than happy to share this with any clients or potential clients going forward.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good point, kind of a good segue to what I wanted to make sure I didn't want to forget to mention, which is if you do have any questions about iNOVaTHERM or anything we've talked to today, the place to go to kind of learn more, and also there's a way you can contact us there on the page, is if you go to NOV.com, so www.NOV.com, and you search. We have a search function. I love it. We've mentioned on the show before. That's what I do anytime I'm like, what is that thing we do? And then I search it there. So if you use that search function, type in iNOVaTHERM, you can find the webpage there, find more information. I'm sure we have some resources on that page as well. And then, of course, the contact feature as well. And we'll make sure we get you in touch with Gordon or whoever would be the best person to answer who's working. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show today, Gordon. I really appreciate all the insight you've been able to provide. So thank you very much for that.
No problem. Thank you, Shelby, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you want to come back. I love talking about this, so this was great. And thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. And thank you for the team in the studio who's put this on, our producers, Paul Dufio and Wei-Han Lin, as well as Danielle Francis on the social desk. My name is Shelby Dumaine. You've been watching NOV Live, and I look forward to talking to you next week with more expert, more technologies. I'll see you later.